The Blessed Mother is our mother. She loves us with a love so perfect that it's almost unrecognizable to us, as we tend to love imperfectly. Like a mother, she intervenes for her children, regardless of who they are or where they are at in their lives. To St. Bridget, she once said, "As a mother who sees her son exposed to the sword of the enemy makes every effort to save him, thus do I, and will I ever do for my children, sinful though they may be, if they come to me for help." From the cross, Jesus said to his mother, "Woman, behold your son." And from that moment on, Mary took us all on as her children, the sinners who murdered her son. We, who continue to offend him with our selfishness. Why would he do this for us? Why would he give us his mother, whom he loved more than anyone? Because he knew that in this life, we would need a mother, and God doesn't leave his children orphans, even if we deserve it. Truly, there's no greater love than this. St. Stanislas Kostka, who is known for his burning love for the Blessed Virgin, spoke of her so tenderly that it made others desire to know her as he did. When he prayed to her, he would pray so earnestly that it seemed he was speaking to her face to face. One day a fellow priest asked him how he attained this great love for Mary. "Father," he answered, "what can I say more than she is my mother?" Just as a child constantly calls out to his mother countless times a day for comfort, help, to be fed, or any other need he has, so we should also call out to our mother for constant help throughout the day, not always seeing the dangers we face. A man called Leonard the Dominican used to recommend himself 200 times a day to the Mother of Mercy, and when he was on his deathbed, he saw a beautiful woman dressed as a queen. "Who are you?" he asked her. "I am the Mother of Mercy," she replied. "You have many times invoked me, and now I come to take you. Let us go to paradise." With that, he died. We are used to hearing of the missions that God gave to his saints through his mother, but very rarely do we hear the favors the Blessed Virgin gave to her ordinary but much-loved children. Here is a charming story of a poor shepherdess who loved her heavenly mother, and how Our Lady wanted to reward her for it. This young girl would often visit a little chapel that was on the mountain where she would watch her sheep, and she would pay her devotion to her heavenly mother and tell her all about her day and other things the children tell their mothers. One day she noticed that the statue was very plain and unadorned, so she made a small garment from some material that she found and draped it over the shoulders of the statue. Then she made a wreath out of flowers and placed it on the statue's head, saying, "O my mother, I would that I could place on thy head a crown of gold and gems, but as I am poor, receive from me this poor crown of flowers, and accept it as a token of the love I bear thee." One day this poor shepherdess fell ill, and she knew she was dying. At the same time, two religious brothers were walking by in the area and took a rest under a tree. One fell asleep while the other took watch, but both had the same vision. They saw a crowd of beautiful virgins, and among them was one who was more beautiful than all the rest. One of the brothers asked her, "Lady, who are you, and where are you going?" "I am the Mother of God," she replied, "and I am going to the neighboring village with these holy virgins to visit a dying shepherdess who many times visited me." She then disappeared. Once the two brothers realized that they had seen the same vision, they went to find the little shepherdess, and entering a little cottage, they found her lying upon a bed of straw. They greeted her, and she said, "Brothers, ask of God that he may permit you to see the company that surrounds me." They did so, and immediately threw themselves on their knees, for they saw the Blessed Mother, with a crown in her hand, standing by the dying girl and consoling her. The other holy virgins began to sing, and with that the girl died, releasing the soul from the body. Mary crowned her and took her soul to heaven. After having crucified her Son, there is nothing better that we can do to console the heart of Mary than by being her child. Because if we are a child of Mary, we will grow only closer to God, which is why God gave us his mother in the first place. St. Peter Chrysologus puts it like this simply: Mary is humble, and will her child be proud? Mary is pure, and will her child be impure? Mary is full of love, and will her child hate his neighbor? But people can still choose whether they want to be a son or a daughter of Mary, as the story relates of Martin, who is the brother of St. Peter Damian. Martin had fallen into some bad habits of habitual sin, and one day, realizing that he had fallen into grave sin and repented of it, he went to an altar of Mary, saying, "My Lady, mirror of purity, I, a poor sinner, have offended God and you by violating chastity. I have no other remedy but to offer myself as your servant, and to your service I dedicate myself to you today. Receive me, this rebel, and do not despise me." He then laid on the altar a certain sum of money, promising to pay the same worth in devotion every year, as a tribute of his devotion to Mary. After many years, the time came for him to die, but before dying, the people in the house heard him say, "Arise, pay homage to my Lady. What a favor is this, O Queen of Heaven, that you should condescend to visit this thy poor servant. Bless me, O Lady, and permit me not to be lost after you have honored me with your presence." At this moment his brother Peter entered the room, and Martin told him how Our Lady had visited him and blessed him. Not long after this he died, leaving this wonderful story for his brother to pass on to those around him. Saying the rosary is another way to develop a devotion to Our Lady, as one priest relates of a sinful woman named Helen who accidentally discovered the rosary. One day, Helen, who led a very sinful life, entered a church for some reason, and then, without any intention to stay for the Mass, heard a sermon on the power of the rosary. Inspired, she purchased a rosary and then began to recite it, although without any sort of devotion. But the Blessed Mother infused into her heart such a consolation and sweetness that the woman couldn't stop praying it, and by this she began to see through heavenly light the horror of the sins in her life, and she could find no peace or rest until she went to confession. After her confession, she went to the altar of Our Lady to thank her, and then she recited her rosary once again. From the image of Our Lady, she heard her speak to her, "Helen, you have too long offended God in me. Henceforth, change your life, and I will bestow on you many of my favors." Helen responded, "Ah, Most Holy Virgin, it is true that I have been very sinful, but you, who are all-powerful, assist me, and I will give you myself and live the rest of my life doing penance for my sins." She lived up to this promise by giving all of her money to the poor and doing penances. She was at times tormented by the temptations of her old life, but she would have recourse to Mary and come out victorious. Eventually she died after having been told in a vision by Mary that she would die soon, and the Blessed Virgin came with her Son to take her to heaven. Blessed John Arolto relates the following story of a holy wife married to a man stuck in sinful habits. She entreated him to at least say a Hail Mary every time he passed by the altar in her home. The husband agreed to this and practiced this devotion. Then one night, as he was about to commit a sin, he saw a light, and upon closer inspection, perceived it to be a lamp burning in front of a holy image of the Blessed Virgin, who was holding the infant Jesus in her arms. He said a Hail Mary as per usual, but in the middle of the prayer, he was startled to see the infant Jesus covered in wounds with fresh blood flowing from them. Terrified by what he saw, he was struck with the realization that his sins, too, had wounded Jesus, and he began to weep. But the infant Jesus turned away from him. Confused and desperate, he said to the Most Holy Virgin, "Mother of mercy, thy son rejects me. I can find no advocate more kind and more powerful than you, who art his mother. My Queen, aid me, and pray to him on my behalf." The Blessed Virgin responded, "You sinners call me the Mother of Mercy, but yet you do not cease to make me Mother of Misery, renewing the passion of my Son and my dolors." But because Our Lady never sends anyone who has recourse to her away, she began to entreat her Son to pardon the man. Jesus continued to show himself unwilling to grant such a pardon, but the Holy Virgin, placing the infant in the niche, prostrated herself before him, saying, "My son, I will not leave your feet until you have pardoned the sinner." "My mother," Jesus said, "I can deny you nothing. For love of you I will pardon him. Let him come to me and kiss my wounds." The man approached and kissed the wounds of the infant, and they were healed. Then Jesus embraced him as a sign of pardon. The man changed his life forever, living a very holy life and great devotion to the Blessed Virgin, who obtained for him so great a favor. We will end here with one last story of the Blessed Virgin, once more showing her kindness to sinners. The following story was told by a Father Rowe. There was once a nun named Beatrice, who unfortunately fell into sin after forming a relationship with a young man. She agreed to run away with him, and as she was the portress of the convent, she set her keys on the altar before a statue of the Blessed Virgin, and then she left. For 15 years, she lived the life of a prostitute. One day, she happened to meet a man who had helped at the convent she used to belong to. She wondered what everyone thought of her after her disappearance, and knowing that he wouldn't recognize her, she approached him and asked if he knew of his sister Beatrice. To her surprise and amazement, he said, "I knew her well. She's a holy nun and at present is mistress of novices." Beatrice didn't know what to think of this, and finally, to settle her mind, she went to the monastery. Again, knowing that the nuns wouldn't recognize her, she asked for Sister Beatrice, and to her amazement, the Most Holy Virgin appeared before her in the form of that same image to which she had left her keys. The Blessed Virgin said to her, "Beatrice, know that in order to prevent your disgrace, I assumed your form and have filled your office for the 15 years that you have lived for the monastery and from God. My child, return and do penance, for my son is still waiting for you, and strive to live a holy life to preserve the good name I have gained you." She then disappeared. Beatrice re-entered the monastery and resumed the habit of the religious, grateful for the mercy of Mary, led the life of a saint. At her deathbed, she told the sisters of the incident for the glory of God and married.